Joining us on Weird Threads, we've got another kind of fringe idea for you guys to consider. Today we're talking about moon landing. Is it fact or fiction? I know we've talked about some other things in the past that go like deep underground. Now we're going far out into the stratosphere with the moon landing and whether or not we've been there. Mike Helm is joining us. Kevin Leversey is joining us. And hopefully we can get 1 micrometer closer to an answer on this question. So,
I love Stanley
as I
Kubrick.
understand it, there's a few different theories out there on whether we've been to the moon or not.
Yeah. I think you'll see. Yeah, I mean, it goes from no, we never went there. Well, actually, it goes from the moon doesn't exist, all the way to we went there. We went there long before we were told about it. We have a civilization established on the dark side of the moon. So you go from it doesn't exist to there's an entire civilization that.
So let's talk about it doesn't exist.
So we'll kind of meet somewhere in the middle or whatever.
Okay.
There's a lot there.
So a couple of years ago, these videos started popping up on my YouTube and whatnot, and so allegedly these photographers with like high clarity photography equipment were taking pictures of the moon, and all of a sudden the moon had these scan lines come down it. You know about this?
I do. I was this quite a while ago?
I want to say this was
About
3 or
8
4
years
years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a while ago.
About 8 years ago.
Yeah,
You know,
it looked.
Okay.
I'll let Mike talk.
How I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe how it looked, because I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen the video in a long time. It was kind of like a cross, almost like a crosshatch, right?
You're cutting out, Mike.
Oh, I am. Uh-oh.
Now you're good. Can you just repeat the last thing you said?
Yeah, I
Like
was.
a crosshatch.
Yeah, it was kind of. I was just trying to remember what it looked like because I hadn't seen the video in quite a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like a crosshatch grid,
Yeah.
I guess.
And around the same time, there's a photographer who had posted imagery that he was taking of the moon that showed the moon dramatically change place over a span of minutes. Like it was here, and then all of a sudden it wasn't there. It was over here.
Sure. So you got a problem with the holographs.
The
holograms,
so
the holograms,
like,
the holograms on the dome.
And then all of a sudden you saw the strings holding the moon. And there's a microphone.
And then I took a bite out of it because it's made of cheese.
George Soros.
Do you remember? Hey, how many of you seen those old movies when the microphone comes in to the special effects?
Oh yeah,
oh, it's great. What was it? Planet 9 from outer space or something?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, just really quickly talking about that. Have you guys seen the video of supposedly it is of the space station, and it's like it's taken from, one of the shuttles or something like that, or another satellite. But basically, it's a photo of the space station in the dark, not a photo, a video. And if you're watching it, you can see a guy's face right behind it, so it's like a model. And all of a sudden, he realizes he's there, and he's like, "Oh shit!" and he takes off. I'll have to grab that. We'll post it. We'll post it on that. Yeah, I was gonna say I'll find it. I'll put it on all the socials, and
we'll
that way you guys can see what I'm talking
about. We'll do a link on the video.
So anyway, but we'll get back to the moon. Also, kind of speaking on what you were talking about, Tyler, with the crosshatch type of pattern. If you look at a lot of the photos that NASA has released, I mean, if you think that NASA doesn't doctor photos, you're crazy. All right.
Yeah.
They do. Okay. That's just a fact. They do. But if you look at on these camera lenses, there's little cross lines to basically used in measuring distance. Okay. And if you look, and I'm not saying this is in all the photos, but there's a lot of photos out there that if you look closely at where these little markers are on the lens, some of the lines on the markers go behind like a rock on the moon. Okay.
Oh, so that means they're superimposing an image on top of the
correct. And they got
markers.
They got sloppy and didn't finish extending the marker all the way to where it was supposed to be.
So are we talking about images straight from NASA?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I can pull some of those as well. I should have thought of that. I didn't even think of it prior to this. But yeah, there's, basically just kind of a lot of anomalies when you're looking at the information that the public is given about the moon, that, it's like, well, it's NASA. They're the experts. This is what they're showing us. That's what it is. It's like,
and most people blindly accept whatever the authority
exactly.
tells them Kevin. Is the truth, right?
Here comes Kevin. Well, just look at NASA's not about space. It's about jobs and fat government kickbacks.
True. So, Tyler, you had, when we were talking prior to this, you had kind of mentioned that, you were kind of looking into, I think it was 3 different theories that you really found interesting.
Yeah, you
and honestly, when I start kind of thinking about this type of stuff, you had brought up some of the stuff that I think about quite often. So why don't we jump into those?
Okay, so theory 1, we've never been to the moon. It's impossible to get there. All the footage that we have of landing on the moon is Hollywood theater.
Mm-hmm.
That's theory 1. Theory 2 is that we have been to the moon, but the footage of the event that they have shown the public is a hoax. It's
because
Hollywood
the actual footage would reveal too much.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. There's another theory that
can you imagine like an alien just standing there with a beer?
Yeah.
What's up, bros? What took you so long? You know the picture of the astronaut with the beer, looking at the moon, at the Earth explode. He's like, "Fuck."
Yeah. All right, theory 3.
So we already touched on the other theory, which is the moon is a hologram or something that we can't actually see in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
It's being hidden from us, and what we see in the sky is a hologram.
Yeah. I don't know what I think about that one.
I don't know what I think about that either. I mean, it's as a graphic artist, it's easy to fake footage. It's so easy to fake footage.
Yeah.
This is a totally separate podcast, but I've looked at Barack Obama's birth certificate. That thing that was published the government website
is in
$7 layers. That was a total fabrication.
It's printed on machines that didn't even exist at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you can see like all the pixelation around all the text and
yeah. So, okay, so if the scan lines on the moon are a reproduction, I would not be surprised.
Okay,
or a production.
Okay, I was gonna say Okay, so you think it's probably something somebody took a video and manipulated it, basically.
As far as the birth certificate, or
no, of the moon with the lines on it.
I have no idea.
Okay,
I'm just saying that it's easy.
You win the t-shirt today, bro.
It's
The left far
very
left.
easy to fabricate footage.
Sure. Is there anything else that you could think of, basically, that you can attribute that effect to? Because I can't really think of anything else other than fabrication, or
it was the way the video was rastered.
It's a glitch.
Yeah,
it is a hologram, and it's a glitch. I mean,
those
are the two conclusions I come up with.
Possible.
Yeah, there's an extra photographer that came out and said, "Listen, folks, this is the way it's rastered. We did this in 4K, and this is how it's done." It's the spacing of how the image was rastered, and then translated from the original copy into whatever.
Totally.
And then what they did was they linked it up, and then they linked it up to the stars, and they did the entire geospatial thing. So like the level of detail it would take for people in the 60s to film this and get all the stars correctly with their points of access it's impossible. We could probably do it today with our computing power, but back then, just saying no way, Jose. So.
Yeah.
So are we ruling this one out then?
I'm thinking the moon is definitely hollow.
well, I think we're going to get to that. I think we're going to get to that one.
Let's just jump to conclusions.
I don't disagree.
You know what? Forget all the theory. The moon is hollow.
Well, it is. It's got to be. It's got to be, or it's got to be liquid.
Okay, so let's start with the theory that the moon landing is a hoax.
Okay.
The footage that we have as the public received is a hoax, but we don't know if the moon is real or not, or if we've been there.
Okay.
Why do some people disbelieve the moon landing footage?
I think that they disbelieve it because, I mean, if you kind of look what was going on, I mean, the space race, I don't see the race to the moon as let's see who can get to the moon first. I basically see it as a big dick swinging contest between world leaders,
nations.
Yeah. Exactly. So, if somebody, NASA gets in contact with a visionary director and producer, somebody like Stanley Kubrick, maybe, and they say, look, we got to have the biggest dick out there because we're America. So let's get this done, and we can basically prove to the world that we are capable, we're the most advanced, and therefore the most powerful. Yeah. I think that's one reason. Another reason, goes back to some of the photographs where there's,
there's anomalies.
I'm trying to think of what the hell you call those. The markers on the...
there's shit cut out.
Yeah, I mean, the things on the photographs where the markers are going behind objects on the moon, that just doesn't make any sense. And I'm sure that you probably can't go into the publicly available photographs that are provided by NASA and find those anymore, because I'm sure once that they were exposed, they were probably fixed.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Or if they were smart, they would fix them.
Yeah.
So there's that right there, and then there's a number. This doesn't exactly point directly to the moon, but it kind of points to space travel in general. There's a lot of videos out there, even live feeds from NASA, that claims astronauts on the space station are either underwater, they're in a zero-G plane, or they are in some sort of harness, basically on green screen.
Yeah.
And if you watch these videos, you can actually see, if you wear a harness that's around your waist, you can see these guys actually grab their harness to steady themselves. There's a couple of videos that I watched just the other day As we all know, there's zero gravity in space. I think it was somebody on the space station. I want to say he was Dutch. Anyway, he's fiddling with something, starts turning the screw, drops it, it goes straight down, and you can hear it hit the ground and bounce. And he even goes, oh, and he bends down and starts digging around for it. That would not happen in zero gravity. If you drop something, it's just going to kind of be there.
Yeah,
it's not going to go. It's not going to go.
It might knock against the wall or something, but it's not going to just drop
it's not going to drop straight down like you're on Earth. And then there's the hair. I'm sorry, but the women's hair in space.
The hair.
It's Aquanet, dude. Yeah. Come on. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, where their hair is sticking straight up.
So what's with that footage of the supposed space station, and all these women's hair is like perfectly done up?
It's
as if
perfectly
they just spent 3 hours with the cosmetic people.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you got Wayne Static in space.
Yeah.
The hair is just going straight up. If you guys don't know who Wayne Static is, he's a heavy metal guy with hair that goes straight up. He's awesome. R.I.P. Wayne. But anyway,
Misfits, bro. I want that devil lock.
But yeah, I mean, stuff like that. So, if you look at these things in a silo, you could say, oh, well, okay, it is what it is, and that's fake and that's real. But if you're thinking, man, I really wonder if we've been to the moon, and then you see astronauts out in space with a head full of hairspray dropping screws on the ground, you go, wait a minute, did this actually happen?
If NASA is a scam, it's very good.
No doubt about it. There is no doubt in my military mind, NASA is a scam, because SpaceX is proving time and time again it's $2 billion a launch for the SLS. It's using all the shuttle parts. It still hasn't flown in 20 years, and it's $2 billion not reusable. Meanwhile, SpaceX is like, hold my beer, and they've put more mass into space last year than all the world combined, and it's like 10 million a launch.
Yeah. Elon's like, well, let's just do another one tomorrow. Why not?
There's a good chance a lot of the SpaceX footage is faked too. Have you guys seen?
I'm going to weigh in on the whole moon stuff. Okay.
Have you guys seen the?
Hang on, Kevin.
SpaceX rocket with the rat running around it?
Yes. And do you know why?
Why?
Vacuum. When you're in the vacuum of space. Okay, so check this out. That wasn't a rat, by the way. That was the fabric of the release when it goes into the vacuum. And then it moves, and then it goes. And then you can go down frame by frame and look at it. I know, because I was like, holy shit, this motherfucker better not be real. And I remember that because it's 2018, and I zoomed in on that thing because the voice goes, holy shit, that's a mouse. That's a mouse. And it wasn't a mouse. It was just anyway.
Okay.
There's flies.
We can see the moon landing. You guys
podcast.
Can see the moon landing for yourself with the freaking telescope on a clear night. You can see the moon landing. You can bounce lasers off the shit we left on the moon, and we brought back rocks. So, there's the moon, there's the moon, you can see it. And then and I'm a ham radio operator and stuff like that. So ready? Yes, the moon landing was real.
So so
on the OG moon landing, why is the flag blowing? Why is
it doesn't blow? It doesn't move.
Why? No, it would just be. It wouldn't be.
I don't know.
It does move, Kevin.
I don't know.
It does move.
There's no wind,
I promise you a few things. Ready? 1, we did land on the moon. 2, NASA's full of shit half the time, and they're padding money, and it's not about going to space. It's actually about jobs, lobbyists, and kickbacks. I get it. But we did land on the moon. You can see it. You bounce lasers off of it. And ham radio operators trajectorized the whole conversation back in the 60s and did the math on it. We've landed and we're there.
Okay.
About the other stuff in space.
I'm not going to totally disagree with you on that, okay? Why, though? I said not totally disagree. Okay.
Okay.
But why though? When obviously we haven't been back to the moon since. All right. That is
You know why?
that's a whole nother story in
You
itself.
know why?
Hang on.
We haven't officially been back to the moon since.
Yes, officially. Okay. And so when a NASA official was basically the mouthpiece of NASA, when he was questioned about this, he straight up looked this guy and looked in the camera and said, "We haven't been back to the moon because we lost the technology."
Yes, they did, and they did.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes,
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it does, and I'll
It doesn't make
explain.
any sense.
No, it
doesn't.
I'll explain it. Because it was all handcrafted like an F1 racer. They did not do systematic machine building for any of the rockets, nothing. Everything was.
So they didn't lose it. They're just too lazy to redo it? Is that it?
There's no people to build it the way it used
Why don't they want to go back?
They don't have machinists that do that kind of work today. The technology and the skill set that... Dude,
the budget of NASA.
Smart women who
listen.
Who write all their calculations on stacks of paper a mile high. They have computers that can calculate all this shit.
No, dude. For it to do that, you'd have to rebuild the whole thing, because each one was hand built, like an F1 racer, like a Ferrari. It was built by hand. It was craftsmen. They won't do it because they do they not have the money? Do they not have the money to? Do they not have the money to? They don't have the skill set. Those people are dead. The people that did it are dead.
I don't believe that.
They don't have the skill sets. They don't have the machinists. They don't have the experience. They don't have the ability. Oh, you think so? Look into it. Look into how it's the F1 engine that really did everything, right? And each engine was hand built. Dude, the tolerances, everything. They did it by hand. They didn't have computers back then.
So you're saying that going to the moon was a high art form somehow.
It was. It was all art, and it was done by machinists. What's so funny is they're like all technology shit, but the guys that actually got us there were the sweaty blue-collar union guys handcrafting the stuff. The F1 engines were built by hand and perfected until they tested it, and the guys were always there working on these engines, just like a Ferrari. So there was no production line. It's not like you're looking at Ford and see the engine blocks and all that stuff. That's not how they were done. They were each done by hand. Now, so you could do the tanks, but the engine
plausible.
It's plausible, but
that's really how it happened. So here's the other thing. We got lost in political direction, because then they wanted to do Skylab, and then everything went to the shuttle. And the shuttle was a freaking white elephant, right? They could have used just the upper stage. By the way, I'm like the world's biggest space nerd. They could use just the upper stage of the Saturn V to launch stuff into space cheaply, right? Okay. So really, and then what happened? Freaking Congress. NASA became about fat budgets. And because it's space, people could charge. In the 90s, I helped a startup at Rocketdyne in Sacramento. You know Rocketdyne is in Sacramento, right? Right out there, Rancho Cordova.
I didn't know
that. So I sold a bunch of HP high-end science computers to the rocket people. And two of the guys there quit and started their own startup, and they started a hydrogen fuel thing. And they were telling me, we'd go there and they would talk to me hours on end. And they said, Kevin, when we've told them and we exposed that their pricing is so bloated, we got fired. He goes, because you got to understand the space industry, and they told me this in the 90s, 1997, they told me, space industry isn't about getting to space. It's about how much money you can package in from lobbyists and kickbacks. Yeah. None of this stuff is real. The public. All right, and so when Elon Musk came by himself, like some freaking weirdo, and is making Bugs Bunny rockets that land on themselves, he exposed the whole thing. I'm telling you, they're going to destroy that man because he exposes the whole lie. I'm done on my soapbox.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on half of that. I'm not convinced that the publicized moon landing was for real. And here's why. The lighting is unidirectional, okay? Almost like they were on a Hollywood set.
Yeah, shadows go different ways, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. As if there's multiple light sources on a Hollywood set.
Yep.
Then they've got
Kevin's gonna blame that on the lens, by the way.
Maybe.
I already know the argument.
The lens theory. Okay, whatever. Yeah, there's always an excuse.
Just like the lens made Joe Biden and Jill Biden giants with the Carters. A lens.
Oh my God.
That's all we'll say about that. That's all we'll say about that.
Yeah.
That's Jack and the Beanstalk shit.
Okay.
We lost Kevin.
Oh no, where'd he go?
We'll let him. We might let him back in. Buck Swain doesn't think we landed on the moon.
Okay, that is some fucking conspiracy shit right there, you assholes.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it.
That's what we do.
That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, that is not a lens effect.
Yeah, I'm just going to put this out there. There is a theory that Stanley Kubrick was the one who helped NASA hoax the moon landing.
Yes.
All right. We'll do a little linky on this video, and people can click the link and do their own research. Yep. So I want to move on to the next theory, that there is an actual alien base on the moon.
Yes. And I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about. You've heard the stories from the Apollo astronauts that when they landed, there was a fleet of UFOs sitting along a crater.
Yeah, I've even heard supposed audio clips.
Yes,
by them, correct, talking about. Man, I wish I could remember the exact words.
He basically says they're everywhere and they're watching us.
And they're watching us. Yes.
Not that's not a quote, but that's
even Buzz Aldrin says that.
Yeah. So I mean, the audio is there.
The guy in the face. When Buzz Aldrin sucker punched that guy, I was like.
But yeah, the audio is there, and the fact that kind of going back to what we were talking about with, we haven't gone back because the technology's lost. Sorry, Kevin, I don't buy that. I think that the budget is big enough that if they wanted to recreate that technology, they very well could.
Yeah.
Political will.
I think that either we are going back, and it's not being told to the public, or I think that we haven't gone back because we were warned not to. Because if you kind of look at it from
political incompetence, look at what's going on with the country right now.
But look at the moon from a defense standpoint. They would want to go back. I mean,
back then.
Hell, put defenses on the moon.
Yeah, we should have been.
Do rods of God exist?
We should have gone back a lot of times to claim that son of a bitch and build a military installation on there. Absolutely. I mean, that's from a military standpoint. That's what they should have done.
And it's NASA. Look who's in charge of this ridiculous crap.
Yeah, but you're focusing on the institution of NASA.
Yeah, because that's what gets things done in the government.
I'm talking about the U.S. government, right? And if we've been to the moon, why haven't we been back a dozen more times?
You know what's hilarious? Look at the freaking bidding contract that just happened. Elon Musk came in at half the cost of the competitors. They needed 4 different devices to go to space to connect in there. And Elon Musk is like, well, we're going to get a rocket. It's going to go up. And then it's going to go to the moon. It's going to land. And then it's going to come home. And then we're going to do it for half the price. And meanwhile, Jeff Bezos is like, got all these different devices that connect like a Lego set. And it's like, it's going to spin around. It's going to do this. There's going to be a space station halfway there. And it's called fucking Moon Base Alpha Delta Quadrant. And then it's going to land. And then it looks like a big
Doge base.
And then Elon's like, hey, I'm going to build a big vibrating dildo that's made of stainless steel that's just going to fly there and land. One moving part. And, dude, do you realize the Democrat Party just did a bill to make the bid that Elon won negated? Because they're like, because of equity and jobs. And I went, well, there goes the
Yeah, there goes.
So that's our 30-minute mark, guys.
Okay. But yeah, no, Kevin, I completely understand what you're saying from that perspective. But if you're looking at it from a strategic perspective, it makes absolutely no sense that we have not gone back to the moon and gone back many, many times.
So here's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
That does not compute with me at all.
If the original moon landing actually landed on the moon in this tin can they call the moon lander, and it didn't blow up, and they got out, they walked around, they planted the American flag, took some photos. Apparently there's some audio of them talking, and all that signal's being transmitted back to Earth over who knows what distance, right? All this supposedly happened back in the 50s. Why didn't they do it again a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen
Political
times?
will, political will,
Political will.
Well, with that being said, Tyler, that's the let's continue this conversation under the assumption that they did go to the moon and they only went there once because they found something or they were told to stay away.
Yeah.
So there's a I don't even know, I can't find this thing in print edition anywhere. I stumbled across it, oh man, how long ago? Anyway, it's a book called Unidentified Lunar Objects. It's by a guy named Alan Sturm. And basically what he set out to do, he wanted to basically go into the NASA archives, collect a bunch of cool moon images, and put together a coffee table book. All right.
Okay.
In doing that, he started to notice what looked like structures on the moon. All right. So his simple, here's some cool moon pictures coffee table book went from that to, holy shit, there are structures all over the moon. And lots of people will write it off as pareidolia, which is, where your mind basically sees patterns or familiar things.
Oh.
Like when you see, oh, that cloud looks like a dragon. Okay. That's pareidolia, where you see something familiar in a shape that really isn't there.
Or when you're high on shrooms and you look at the texture on the wall and you see all these, pictures going on.
So anyway, I mean, that's a possibility that, I guess I should say, before you see some of the photographs, pareidolia is a possibility. When I was able to find just a couple of images, like basically from PDF. And if you look at kind of like the straight up image and you're looking for something, and then you look at the image where he actually like highlights the structures on the moon, you see geometric structures, you see wheels. I mean, and I'm not talking like a wheel, like, oh, somebody left
I've seen these
car
images.
rim on the moon.
There are some unnatural structures.
Yes.
Which they're very low quality images, but the shadows kind of expose the
it exposes like the height and
the unnatural shape of these structures.
Yeah, because you've got a formation there, and you're like, oh well, yeah, it's just a cliff, all right. But then you look at the shadow, and I mean, you're looking at a shadow that's forming a perfect rectangle at a 90-degree angle,
right?
Which is fairly unlikely.
And I know, Yep, I agree.
Here's somewhat of an example.
What do you think about the fact that the moon rings like a bell?
Well, that's hollow. That's hollow.
We're gonna get there. Get there.
And we might have to get there in another podcast, but
possibly.
It's either liquid inside or it's hollow. Parts of it are hollow.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I think that's probably a conversation for another podcast, because there's a lot to unpack there too. So, but yeah, tell us about this picture, Tyler.
Okay, so this is a picture. I believe it's from NASA. There's an object on the moon. They got this picture of it. I think this object was part of a larger picture and
Mhm.
somebody focused in on it. But this is a very unusual shaped object for being naturally occurring.
It looks like a giant ravioli.
It does, or a helmet.
Yeah,
I would-
yeah,
or
I
a
can see a
mushroom.
helmet too. I think it looks like a giant ravioli, or it looks like a gigantic saucer. You know, like a saucer
think
with
it looks like a
with
saucer.
with a dome on top. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another one. So this is another object somebody found from the NASA pictures. And if you look at,
There's a shadow
so-
underneath that thing.
yeah, so if you look at it, this object has this object forms a overhang. The
Mhm.
shadow is clearly underneath a wing-like structure, and it's just chilling there.
Yeah.
That's very
Just-
unnatural. This is
yeah.
colorized. Okay, that's not natural. That's colorized.
Well,
Ju-
and there,
just for you skeptics in the audience who are going to be like, "Oh, really? They got blue? They found a blue object on a black and white photo?
Yeah.
Ah."
yeah.
Dude, on
It's
that
true.
rock over there, it says Kilroy was here.
Well, and there's also stories from the astronauts about what they call like a crystal dome or silver domes.
I've heard about this.
Yeah. And I've struggled to find some info on that. When I initially researched a lot of this stuff, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, some of this stuff I haven't really dug into, because I mean, for the most part, not a whole lot has changed as far as the anomalies that are out there and that sort of thing.
I wish I could find them, but I've seen the images
Of the domes?
of the domes.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, the supposition is that NASA actually showed the public edited photos of the moon with the crystal domes in it. Some Photoshop genius went back and they filtered the NASA images, increased the contrast. So on the NASA images, basically you have this black background that's supposed to be space.
Yeah.
And then you've got the lunar surface. And it looks like what you imagine it looks like. Okay. But this Photoshop genius went back and they increased the contrast on the background. And by putting that filter on, it reveals the domes. And then with a little bit more filtering and a little bit more photo adjustment, you can actually see the domes. And they're like these electrical domes.
Yeah. They
Might be a very bad 90s movie where they're like, okay, zoom in. Now, enhance.
Yeah.
There's the killer.
But yeah, I mean, when I had initially heard about it, I saw the same pictures that you're talking about. I went and looked for them the other day, and I wasn't able to find them. Maybe I just wasn't digging deep enough, but I wasn't able to find them. But I remember them saying that they were basically ruins, where they weren't completely, a complete structure. And whether they were made of like crystal or glass, I've heard plasma.
Yes, I've heard the same. And people attribute it to like something that was melted and then formed.
Yep.
So there's maybe it's either lava tubes or it's a ruin. But they definitely are there. They definitely are columns, and they definitely were formed by some sort of plasma or melting function. So either they're lava tubes or they are actual structures. And they look like damn buildings to me.
Yeah, it's very strange. And I mean, if a lot of these pictures we could post up later or provide links to. But I mean, there's a picture of what looks like a gigantic satellite inside of a crater. There's pictures of pipes coming out of the sides of craters. I mean, it's amazing. Once you start digging, the shit that's there, it's like somebody's been there, or somebody,
Yes.
something has been there, and something may still be there.
I agree. I know what book you're talking about, Mike, and I know what articles or whatnot. I can't remember where it is, but they do have their columns. They're really legit columns.
Yeah,
they're columns. They're there.
It's called ULOs. It's called ULOs by Alan Sturm. And the only place that I can find it is on these, kind of what I would think are kind of questionable websites where it's available for a PDF download. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, I don't really feel comfortable downloading it because really? I value what's on my computer.
He's got a website, AlanStern.com. It's got a website. I'll put it on our Twitch. I'm putting a lot of links on the Twitch, so if you guys are following along.
Is the book available for print?
It is on his books page. I'll put the link there on Twitch.
I wasn't able to find it in print.
It's on his website, it says.
Word.
Hey, is that the one?
No, that's an article.
No. Go down. Go down. You got to scroll down. It's down here at the bottom where it says Alan Stern Space Books.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, dude, I'm glad your mind is solid.
If you can purchase that on that website, I'm going to buy it. Because when I first stumbled across it, I mean, I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska. I was still living in Omaha at the time. So that's a good, at least 15, 16 years ago. At least that's how I remember it, is that I saw it when I was in Omaha. And I wish I would have bought it then. And I had gone back to look for it afterwards. And, it seemed like it had just kind of dropped off the face of the earth. Maybe I wasn't looking in the right spot.
Yeah, nice find.
So, but that's something definitely worthy of checking out. We're kind of coming up on the end of our show here.
I think we've said most of what we want to say, and we can do more episodes if we want to follow this rabbit trail down to some of the moon-based theories, and
we should do Siskel and Ebert. We should do a Siskel and Ebert thumbs up on what we discussed. So, for example, did we land on the moon? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Is the moon hologram? Thumbs up, thumbs down, right? So, in my opinion,
the craftsman.
Yes.
Do we not have the craftsman to go to the moon? I give that a thumbs down.
Political will. But I agree. It makes sense. We haven't gone, right?
I'm just giving you shit.
I know. I deserve it.
But yeah,
I think
why don't we go around? Tyler, do you think we went to the moon?
I believe we went to the moon. I think the public footage, the official footage, is a hoax. I think we found more than we bargained for when we went there. And that's why they haven't publicized any further trips to the moon.
The biggest shit ever taken in space.
Yeah, I think we all know that Kevin thinks we went to the moon.
Absolutely, you can see it. You can see it.
I think we did too.
It bounced lasers off the moon.
There.
I'm on the same page as Tyler.
They have a merit badge to bounce lasers off the moon stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page as Tyler. I think we did go, but I think the vast majority of the information that we are told and the pictures that we've been shown are horseshit.
We also have to use Occam's razor, right? And the simplest answer is usually the truth, and that is that NASA is a bloated government agency that sucks at everything it touches.
Yeah.
Do we think there's an alien base?
All the taxpayer money they touch. Yeah.
Do you think that there is either an act? I guess. Do you think that there are remnants of an alien base on the moon, or an active alien base on the moon?
I think there are remnants, definitely, and maybe it's my hope that's coming into here. But from what I've seen from the book that you're talking about, from this guy, with those columns, and they're done by melting something. It's either lava tubes that magically look like that. Who knows? But I definitely and the moon's hollow.
Yes, I agree with
I
that.
want to explore that theory on another podcast. There are official statements from NASA.
It rings like a bell, dude. It rings like a bell.
Rings like a bell.
It does, and it continues like a bell forever. So it's either hollow or it's liquid inside. And how would it be liquid if there's no?
Yeah, exactly. So, what else? Do we think?
Today's Wednesday. And
question.
I'm in the Philippines. So what time is it for you guys? It's Wednesday, right?
I have no
So
idea.
whether or not we've been to the moon is a separate topic from whether or not there's aliens on the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
What are we talking about Friday?
I think we got to do an episode on that.
All right.
Well, we'll figure out when we can do that one.
What are we doing on Friday?
We'll figure out offline what we're doing on Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, so folks, same time, same bat channel.
Yes. So, and I'm going to be working this week to surprise you guys a little bit here. I'm going to be working this week to see if we can get our lives to show up on YouTube and Rumble while we are doing them. Beautiful. I'm not the most technically talented person. You can ask Tyler about my adventures with Google. But all the never-ending adventure with Google. But we'll see if we can make that happen. So basically, any options that we can make available for viewing, we want to. Because we know that some people have their
wide. Get it out
and you know, some people aren't on certain platforms, which makes perfect sense. So
totally
getting banned off Facebook.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll wrap this one up. We hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. And yeah, I think some of the stuff we discussed here definitely warrants diving a little bit deeper.
Yep. Further investigation.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yes. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.